So I'm just, as you can see, my easel is, there's all kinds of different messiness to it. So I'm just going to slap down a little bit of this phthalo blue that we were talking about right there, and get started. But what you always, when you're working with acrylic paints, you always want to get your brush wet before you dip it into the paint. So I'm going to start with the Filbert, and just dipping it in here and getting it a little wet. I'm going to grab a little bit of this paint. It might be a little too wet, but it's fine. This is just a little demonstration. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some lines right here so you can see the difference. Very soft, but you can see it's real smooth on this one, and you can actually see the brush lines from all the different hairs individual in this very soft cardboard texture. Okay, so moving on to our watercolor paper. This kind of is eating the paint too, but you can see there's texture to it. Lots of different things happening in there, which you could use that to your advantage, if you want something to have rough edges or rough texture to it. I'm gonna add some water just to see what that looks like. Very pretty. Okay, and then this is my canvas board. So I'm gonna pull this over here so you guys can get a better look at it. I might have a little too much water. I'm excited, I like my new brush. But there's also a different kind of texture to canvas. See? It's got ridges and lines. It's kind of like a grid pattern under there. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit of white to the, well, where is the white? I just had it, there it is. I'm gonna add a little bit of white to that phthalo blue because I want you to be able to distinguish the different brushes. Different strokes for different folks, guys. Okay, now moving on to the angular brush. Remember, we're gonna dip it into our water, okay? Get a little bit of paint. I'll grab a tiny little splotch of that white. That's a little bit more than a tiny splotch of paint. Just this lighter color. And you can see how we have nice, smooth lines, but also very precise edges. Not the big sweeping motion that we had with the Filbert and the soft edges. Very precise. And we're gonna move over to this watercolor paper. Let's see how that feels. I'm gonna add a little bit of water to it just to see. But very precise lines. Still very textured with that watercolor. So pretty. Watercolor paper. I'm gonna make this same color over here. A little bit more paint on my brush because the canvas is really gonna eat it up. But you see, we can have a real perfectly straight line. Or you can have nice little, this is also really good for like flowers. Let's say I wanted a flower that was blue on the outside and white on the inside. So you can pull it around and make you some nice little petals. Very pretty. See? That's your angular brush. It's going to give you some fun little straight, perfect, lovely, precise lines. Oh, moving on to the mop brush. Ooh, I'm so excited. I haven't used this before, so we're learning together, guys. You know, that's what we like over here on my page, channel, or whatever you want to call this. Okay. A little bit wet, tiny little bit wet. Oh, it's a little too much wet. Ooh, maybe mop brush is supposed to be dry. It's definitely too wet. I don't like it. Let's go with a more dry. It's a little too dry. Oh, very soft, fuzzy edges. You just swirl it around on the outside like that. Look at that. Very smoky. Ooh, I like that. That's pretty. Look at that. Very smoky. Didn't quite work out on this guy over here. Let's try it again. Okay, so this really smooth paper kind of has more cloudy looking. That's kind of interesting. Had more water in it too, so I'm sure that plays into it. Oh, let's see what we look like over here on my canvas, because this is what I primarily work in, is canvases. And I wouldn't recommend putting your paint on your on your easel like this to paint a painting, but for demonstration purposes it's fine, because what's happening is it's picking up some of the old paint. Let's see what this looks like. It's a little too wet. I'm gonna dry it off a little bit. Look at my cloths. Very well used. It's definitely too wet. It's kind of having the same kind of texture situation as, oh, look at that. Oh, that's so pretty. Look at that. Oh, I'm gonna have fun with this today. I can't wait. Wow. Just kind of, oh, look, and some drips. Oh, I like the drips. You guys know I like my drips. Look at that. That is legit. Woo! Okay, so obviously this is gonna be something later. I really like that area right there. That's pretty. You can just watch the paint just kind of trickle down. That's probably one of my favorite parts of painting. You just never know where it's gonna go. Every single painting is unique. Oh, this, I'm digging this. That is nice. Yeah. Oh, I'm excited about this mop brush. All right. And of course, phthalo blue is a very pigmented color, and my white brush is pink. I mean blue. Oh yeah, that is a fun brush. I'm very excited. All right, moving on. Now we're gonna use where did my round brush go? That must have been what hit the floor and I couldn't find. Let's see. I'll go with this round brush. This guy. I need more white. A little bit more white. You know what? No, we're going back to the blue. Just the blue. Okay, and this is gonna be, ooh, it's a little frayed. What's happening there? What happened to this guy? Okay, nope. That brush is going in that trash. All right, switching to this round brush. Okay. So we're gonna grab some of this, and you know, this is gonna be, you can have nice little, oh, this, I don't like these bristles. These are too firm. Okay, this one's good. Try this. Sorry guys, I wasn't digging that brush. All right. you can get little lines at the end also. You know, if you grab it, and here, always got those hands full of brushes. Can start you know, that could look like grass or tentacles or even hair. That kind of stuff. And that's that cardboard paper. It's very smooth. Let's see what we look like on the watercolor paper. You know, this is also good for like, you know, doing something kind of smoky like this. Round brushes are good for that, but very much smaller surface area, so you get a whole lot more and a lot less time. So if you have a smaller area that you want to have kind of a fog around it, you can do your round brush. And you want it to be dry if you're making smoke. You want it, but you know, obviously you can see the difference between the mop brush. It's a very nice change in gradient. Here it's a little more harsh. Takes a lot more time to get this effect with this kind of brush. But you know, you can have even flames or something coming up. Who knows what's even happening right there in the background, you know? But again, you can do your foggy, smoky look. You want it to be more dry. And it's a lot more harsh of smokiness coming off than that mop brush. It's like a big difference. So maybe this is a foggy lake or something, or kind of a background of a painting that you want the color to stand out, but you also don't want it to be too defined. And then this could be like your fog coming off of the water. Yeah, it's pretty. Okay, and then a liner brush. So your liner brush is going to be your smallest brush. Can you see that? Here, let me see something darker colored. Yes, this tablet will work. Can you see? Very tiny. Oh, you know what else? I'll show you that in a minute, but sprinkles or dots. Okay, now this guy is going to be your thinnest brush. And this is going to be like, you know, hairs or very thin blades of grass or eyelashes. You do have to pick up paint quite frequently with these because you know, you just don't want to have too much, but you can see like the smooth texture of the lines. You can also wave them out a little bit if you want some swoopy lines. Maybe you're making some coral. Obviously the blue is giving me ocean vibes. But the texture on this, I don't know, this is interesting. Okay. I don't really like that watercolor paper, but I've never worked with watercolor before, so I don't know. Maybe I did when I was a kid and I just don't know. But, you know, you want teeny tiny little lines. Very precise. Very tiny. This is going to be good for lettering, which I don't really care for lettering, guys. See? That's the difference in those kind of brushes. And let me show you what you can use to do stars or sprinkles or just spots. And I'm going to go ahead and use that blue. I usually use a big round brush that's a little stiffer because we're going to do this. and just flink it onto the paper. But the most important step is you want to add lots of water to it. You want it to almost be, that might be a little bit too much, but you know, you want it to be kind of just dripping down. That's going to give you that really good just spackle. Let's see if we can get you in a little closer. See, I didn't have enough water in there. It's going to get you all your different sized dots. And I recommend laying it flat after you do this so they can absorb into their circular shape. Otherwise you'll get oblong. And sometimes if that's what you're looking for, if you don't really care, that's fine. Let's see how these look on this. So you want to go all different directions with your brush. You don't want it to look like one line, one line, one line. I mean, unless that's what you're going for. But if you're trying to do stars, that just went real messy. That's okay. Okay. So you can see how that looks on your, it's nice. I want some bigger. Yeah. That looks pretty good. Very interesting to look at. Another thing I was going to show you guys is, you know, I like to do little bubbles or circles. Usually I will do that with a flat brush. So we're going to use this big guy right here. I've never used this one for circles. So this is going to be gigantic, but here we go. You just kind of start in the middle and you circle it around. And really, I just keep going until it looks like a perfect circle. Or as close to perfect circle as you can get. Looks like a real smooth. And then if you want to have like a really interesting effect in the middle, you can grab a smaller round brush and you can do kind of a watered down drop. And then I like to use a liner brush and just kind of drag it out a little bit. And just drag it a little bit in different ways. And it's like a little starburst in there. It's hard to hold this and then paint at the same time, guys. But if you don't want it to be perfect, you can snack it around a little bit. Kind of make it go in different directions, you know. You can go even further and just add a little bit of water to kind of help it really look abstract and weird. Or you can do perfect lines if you want. Let's grab some white in there. Start in the middle. This is a thicker liner brush. You can just pull out lines, just yeah. Get you some, looks like a cell. Something over there, you know. So since I got my white, I'm gonna go ahead and grab a little bit more of that. This is a very soft brush for circular things. I usually use a little bit thicker of a brush, or firmer. But you know how we did the flower with the white in the middle? You can do that with your circles too. You can do half blue and half white. This looks like a good spot right about here. Go back the other way if you want. I don't want that blue to look like it's kind of coming in. Little swirly line. You can always go around the edges and fix those up if you want. You can use your flat brush if you want. It's a little bit more difficult, I think. But you can do anything you want. Art is purely subjective. You may think something is beautiful and someone else might think it is hideous. Really, to me, it's what do you feel when you're looking at this piece? What does this bring to the surface in your heart? What emotions come out of you when you're looking at this? Something that speaks to you is a piece of art you should buy. You should never buy a piece of art because someone else likes it or tells you to like it or tells you that what it means to them. You should buy it because it means something to you. I always tell people that. You might like some of my pieces and think that they're very interesting to look at, but they may not speak to you. And if they don't speak to you, they're not meant for you. The last thing I would want is somebody buying one of my pieces and regretting that purchase because it just doesn't mean to them what it meant to me, which is also why I don't really tell people what a piece of art means to me. People always want to know like your story. So you got those little flowers, swooping lines with this square brush or flat brush. And I think it's really important that you connect with your art. I don't like to make commissioned pieces often because I often don't connect with them, and you can tell. Like when they're done, they might look technically sound, but there's not a lot of emotion behind them. And I have done, it depends on the subject matter, obviously. Like if somebody wants to commission a piece for me that has an abstract background with like some sort of design over the top, that's my jam. Everything I have is some weird abstract background that was just me getting in the flow. And then it came into something else where I like to pull an image out of the canvas. And I don't know what I'm doing. I'm still learning how to do that. And I still am learning my own specific style or technique. And that is going to be a piece of my heart, a piece of me that you take home with you. And as an artist, there is no greater pleasure than creating a piece of art that not only came from me and speaks to me, but speaks to you. And the worst feeling is I made this because you wanted me to make this. I didn't like it. I didn't like it while I was painting it, and you can tell. Like I can tell, but I'm a very emotional, intuitive type of person. So I can tell if there was love behind a piece of my art. I can typically tell if there's love behind someone else's art, or if it was forced and they were just trying to fit into a mold. Don't do that to yourself. You are free to do and make whatever you choose, but I urge you to never buy a piece of art if it doesn't speak to your heart. Don't buy it because someone else said that you should. And when you're creating art, you should make things that also come from your heart. Nothing has to be perfect. Nothing has to be precise. Nothing has to be anything other than what you feel. That's the part of art that really kind of helped heal me in a lot of ways, is letting me get back in touch with my feelings. I haven't shared a lot on this channel with my experience, but I have a pretty rough background, and sometimes when you're in a headspace of not being able to have emotions just for, whatever reason, doing art can help you get back in touch with yourself. And it has actually been the most transformational thing that's happened to me in the last 5 years. And I'm really happy to be here sharing it with you guys. And I hope this isn't too corny or cheesy, but yeah, anyway, okay, bye.